And we are back. It is Wake Up Woodward. We got another segment with the legend. This one is going to be free agency themed, NBA style. We got the Detroit Pistons. This is going to be obviously their most pivotal offseason in a very, very long time. I was talking to Neil and I said, I believe that this is the most important offseason for the Pistons since they traded Chauncey for AI at the beginning of the season and then spent that money wrongly on Charlie V and Ben Gordon.
Yeah.
And it changed the entire trajectory of what their franchise was, that were all here on one-year deals. And in different ways, they can retain them all. But today's focus will be more Malik Beasley. And then we'll get into our Swisher break. Rod Beard, let's get the legend in here. And you know, I want to drum roll him back in here. It's been a minute. I just realized that. So, hey, yo, shout out and welcome to the legend. Again, Detroit News, Rod Beard.
See, yeah, slipping up.
Senior sports editor.
Slipping up.
The sun is not out like this in Detroit. The sun is not doing this in Detroit right now.
It's not actually. We got Woodward Avenue behind me, and it's pretty dreary and rainy. But senior sports editor, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. But Malik Beasley, there's multiple ways that the Detroit Pistons can retain him because obviously they're not going to get him on such a fantastic deal like $5-6 million a year. He's played himself into a pay raise, and when you look at other people around the league who kind of got that or set the market for a player like him, you're looking at about $19 million to $20 million on the high end, but some people believe that he could be, for a hometown discount, gotten by the Pistons for that $14 million mark. You could sign him using your almost Spotrac projects $24 million in usable or practical cap space that the Pistons will have, or you can sign him back utilizing one of your exceptions. The good thing about the Pistons being a non-taxpayer is that they actually have a $14.8 million taxpayer exemption, non-taxpayer exemption, that they can also utilize to bring back one Malik Beasley. And so instead of saying which one should we bring back, Trajan Langdon said that there is a focus on trying to bring back the people who contributed to them winning. So I wanted to focus this week, Malik Beasley. Next week, it'll be Dennis Schroeder. And then the week after, we will talk about one Tim Hardaway. But Malik Beasley, Rod Beard, is he a player that you believe is vital for the Pistons to bring back to bolster some of the success we're talking about we need to see them have next season?
He is absolutely vital. The key question is going to be the cost. And you mentioned $19 million. I mean, are the Lakers one of those teams that would just throw out a bunch of money at him? I don't know what their cap situation is looking like, but somebody like that who just needs three-point shooting to put around the rest of what they have, would they dole out that kind of money? I mean, the Knicks could use a three-point shooter. So you only have a finite number of teams who have the space to do it and who have the maneuverability to do it. The Pistons can. I don't know if that $14 million is going to be enough unless he just really, really wants to be here. And that would be an excellent sign that he's willing to take a little bit of a discount in order to come back.
That's my concern. He played so well, made such an impact on a team, who needed role players and vets to step up and play important roles next to Cade Cunningham, and he did that. And you see also the effect of, he's not there with the Bucks among some other key ingredients that aren't there, but you see how much they lost there. And Malik Beasley, in my opinion, would have definitely changed certain things for that team with his scoring if he would have produced in the playoffs for the Bucks and for the Pistons. But you saw the effect of him not being there, and that's where I do look at his importance to this team in the regular season. I do believe he is vital to have here from a culture fit off the court, culture fit on the court, culture fit in the locker room. He is a champion for Detroit, champion for what do you need, Cade type of thing. And I like that type. When you're talking about building around your star player, when you're talking about not the strongest of free agent classes, but you have some much more flexibility in the next offseason and the offseason after that, that's where I am hoping that he just kind of sees, you know what, maybe the hometown discount in the place that he asked Trajan Langdon, please don't trade me. He had to have known at those conversations at the trade deadline what the Pistons were able to do. And so I'm hoping that, unlike the Zadarius Smith situation, that this does actually wind up in one where they find a way to work it out. But I do agree with you, Rod. I think it's going to be more of a discount if he's here because somebody will throw that money at him over the $14 million.
Right, and I think the key here, too, is what does the rest of the market look like? And will they have to take him into that space and make him one of the last signings that they make? So it matters who they go out and get and whether they need to use that non-taxpayer exception or they need to go out and use the rest of their cap to do that. That will really dictate which of those slots he falls into.
I'm glad you stated that too, because they do have his non-exclusive bird rights. They can do some tricky things here with Schroeder, who they do have the bird rights, and Hardaway. They have some protections here that they can utilize, and that was interesting how they managed even that trade deadline to keep themselves in a position to where they are a non-taxpayer, because they weren't paying Schroeder much. That was so savvy by this front office, and that to me is why I really wish Trajan Langdon would have gotten a nod for Executive of the Year, because as I'm seeing how this offseason can unfold for the Pistons and what they already have right now, you look at the dysfunction around the league and how some of these other teams, they just didn't prepare well for this longevity or for the upstart that they already had. I'm not as bullish on Orlando Magic's future as maybe some of their fans and other people are, as I am the Detroit Pistons. And I do believe a lot of that has to do with how Trajan Langdon came in and more than steadied the ship, but put them on the right course.
Right, and when you look at Orlando too, I mean, they've got the Wagner and the Wagner twins, or not twins, Wagner brothers, and then Paolo. So they have the pieces there, and they did the same sort of model. Is they drafted really well to stock their roster with the pieces that they need. Now, they need a big veteran to come in and help them out? Probably not as much as the Pistons did. So free agency is going to be really interesting in both of those cases to see which directions they go in to try to improve the roster and take that next step.
Yeah, and Rod, I think with Malik Beasley, both things can be true. One, without Malik Beasley, the Pistons are not the 6th seed. He was a worthy 6th man of the year, had a phenomenal regular season, second in the NBA in made three-pointers. Also, though, do you have any trepidations whatsoever when you see that Malik Beasley, both throughout his career and last year, is, at least by the numbers, a playoff dropper? Does that concern you at all about paying him, making him part of the next couple of years on this team?
No, because I think still $20 million is a reasonable number. The issue is they may not be able to pay it because of their cap situation. I think for all the things that Kool-Aid mentioned, the off-the-court stuff, the leadership in the locker room, just the swag that he brings to them, his ability to change a game around because of the three-point shooting. Does he come back next year and shoot 40+%? I would think so. So I think when you look at those things, it's worth it. And the steps that they're trying to take forward, it's worth it. And the timing of it all kind of works out. So the playoff numbers don't have any. I'm not at issue with that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the players that they did compare Malik Beasley's situation to on the high end was Malik Monk with Sacramento. And that's where, when you look at his average salary, it is almost $19.5 million a year, and he just signed that contract. So that's where you're looking at Malik Beasley in a position of where the market is saying he has a claim to 19 or 20. There are players who know the effect he had and think about what he could do in a place, like you said, in a place like LA. If they always seem to find ways to create the space they need, cap-wise or roster-wise, to make the moves they need around LeBron James. And there are other squads out there. You're looking at Philadelphia 76ers, too, who they're saying that, no, they don't want to run back this trash year that they just had. They actually want to try and find a way that they can get some semblance of some good vets and some formidable players. And I do believe that a guy like Malik Beasley is going to show up on a lot of rosters of these all dysfunction teams that are looking to take a step forward in the East and the West next year.
Right, and all of that attention, it's like when you go to the party, the prettiest woman at the party is going to get a lot of attention. It's just, what does she want? And is she looking at you because you are the best person there for her? So I think that's what we're going to see from Malik Beasley, is saying that absolutely he wants to come back to Detroit. Just, is the number right? And does somebody go crazy and offer him $25 million? You can't compare 25 and maybe 15 million. That might be a little bit too much to overcome for a hometown discount. But if we're saying 19 or 18, the Pistons can offer 14 or 15. Yeah, I think that's a little bit closer.
All right, and you know what? JB, throw that graphic on up there, man, because it's time for a Swisher break. Let's rock, man. And because I'm ready to get into this, because obviously we got to get our free agent off-season outlook moving on ahead. I did find a way to squeeze some draft love in there, and shout out to Rob for the Michigan shirt. You guys will see a little bit of flavor that finds its way in the Swisher break today. But we're not sitting here doing mock drafts because the Pistons don't have a first-round pick, because they just didn't care to this year. They knew exactly what it was. We're not talking about it. And you know what? The first-round pick is Jalen Duren. That's who the pick is. You wound up picking two top 5 talents in Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren, and that was what the pick went to. And you know what? Soon, word to KG, he's going to be the number 2 face of the Pistons. But let's rock. The Pistons, this is the first statement. The Pistons should prioritize a target like Brook Lopez over other options. So you're looking for players who are 7 feet and can stretch the floor, defending the paint a little bit, whether they're a vet, whether they're an upstart. The Pistons should prioritize that over the bigs that are under 7 feet. Swish or Brick, Flannel Sam. And we use Brook Lopez, coming free agent, as our example.
So Brook Lopez is the example. So I don't know if this player would qualify or not. I would prioritize Miles Turner. Do you consider them the same, or do you consider Miles Turner a different kind of an animal?
Nope, the same.
Okay.
Well, I believe that he would provide you a little bit more than even Brook Lopez.
Yes.
But in terms of the mindset, the type of player, the position, yes, that one.
In free agency, considering how it's not the best class, I'll go Swish. I think Miles Turner would absolutely get this team into being at least a 3 seed, considering the East is becoming more and more wide open.
Yeah, and you know what? That dude, Justin, I got to get your opinion on this too. The Pistons, because we're going to talk about some players in the next question under that 7-foot mark. But as it relates to your focus, do you believe that it should be a player like a Brook Lopez, a player like a Miles Turner, your 7-footers who can stretch the floor, play defense? They're not crying for theirs necessarily. I don't think a lot of these people in this free agent market are going to. But Swish or Brick, that's what the priority should be over players that are under 7 feet right now. They lack size in this last playoff series.
I think that's a Swish. I think when you're talking about the jump that they could make from the middle of the pack in defense to the upper echelon, which JB Bickerstaff is known for, I think that comes from adding another rotational 7-footer that could really help out Beef Stew and Duren, because if you think of bringing in either Brook Lopez or Miles Turner, like, you're talking about a very deep power forward and center rotation between the 3 of them, and they all could, except for Stu, they all can have some offensive upside. And like, when you're adding a guy who can shoot it the way that Miles Turner and Brook Lopez can do, that will only help out Cade down the stretch when he needs to get those baskets in the paint, and you can have him ISO them out. And then if they bring that double in the paint, you can then kick it to Lopez or Turner. So I would love that personally.
I do. So I think about even, the Cade back to the basket moments, man. That would be epic for people to have more floor stretchers. But JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth. What say you, man? We've seen Miles Turner and Brook Lopez torture us, and I'm wondering it's because of the level of player they are, or because we lack the height and the size, or a mixture of both.
This is Swish for me. I mean, it is the level of player that they are, and if I could, I'd add another name to that list as well too, a Nas Reed, just depending on how Minnesota does in their series, which Game 1 just looked ugly. So if he's available and Minnesota doesn't sign him back, that's definitely an option as well too. But this is a Switch for me. This honestly takes a lot of pressure off of Duren, that you won't have to see him do as much this next upcoming season. So just take that pressure off of him, let him grow a little bit more, and let these quality vets kind of take over.
And I heard you mention a name. Keep that name in your back pocket, because it has something to do with the next question, because he is 6'9", Nas Reed. And when you're talking about another player that might pop up in this thing, it's a player that I've seen of popular interest and intrigue to Pistons fans, but he also is under 7 feet. We're going to get there, though. Hey, before we get to the legend, Willie B, what say ye, man? You want them to finally go out there and solve this height issue, this size issue?
Absolutely, man. The height issue that Carl Anthony Towns kill us at the first round of the playoffs. And I call it Switch. You got Miles Turner, and you got Nas Reed. Nas Reed 6'9", but wingspan do make up for height advantage. But there's another player that's under the radar free agency, Clint Capella from Atlanta Hawks. Clint Capella don't have the offensive ability, but he got the defensive ability and the rebound ability, the guard interior. But that's one of them. Of course, you got Miles Turner, and another one's a free agency, Mo Wagner from the Orlando Magic. So he could be a perfect
Hey, you
fit.
found a way to get some more Go Blue love in here.
Oh, yeah,
Lord.
Hey, shout out
Mo-
Willie B.
So Mo Wagner, who's 6'11", who's a perimeter, he can shoot outside, and he can post up a little bit, and he can play a little defense. So that's a perfect fit forward in free agency for solve our tall interior problem.
Hey, you know what? I see some in the chat here. I'm seeing Big Swish for Big CP. Michael Wary, though, a brick. MJ says Nas Reed, so I'm going to take that as a brick, too. Because he obviously is under the 7-foot mark. Chuck Brewer, player over 30, hard pass, brick.
Yeah.
Greg, 2025, Swish. Randall Smalls, brick. So it's split, Rod Beard. What say ye?
Big brick. Huge brick. Because a lot of the names that you mentioned are going to want to start, and anything that takes minutes away from Jalen Duren, I am not for whatsoever.
KG
It's
smiling
specifically
somewhere.
somewhere having a swisher. But specifically, Miles Turner plays with Legos. He cannot play on my team. A dude that plays with Legos. Can you imagine what the locker room? Can you imagine the locker room with Stu and Miles Turner?
What up,
Oh yeah.
what up, JB Smooth?
You're right.
Piggyback on that. What up, JB?
They would fight every day in practice. No, we can't. No.
You know what then? Ship
What's wrong
beats
with
Stu out
Legos?
of
That's
here.
the point. That's the point.
If that's what it would take.
Oh,
if you
no.
if you think they
The
can't
heart
be
and
together,
soul?
Turner over Stu. If you had to choose,
I'm
that's
taking
just my
Turner.
opinion.
But
Man, that's a
any of the
tough
people
one.
that you're talking about is starting. They have to start, and you're taking minutes away and the growth away from Jalen Duren. That I think that's you're prioritizing the now in that situation, and I think you just have to hope for growth from Duren to kind of offset some of his limitations for right now. I don't think you can bring in somebody who blocks that.
You know what? Then let's get to this next question because everybody, I think, wants this. And hey, let's set the music about -20.
Gotcha.
I think everybody wants one of these options. You've heard them already. You've heard some Clint Capellas this morning. You've heard some Bobby Portises. You've heard some Nas Reeds. Who's the Swish? Who's the brick free agent prospect between Nas Reed? So these are players that have Nas Reed, Bobby Portis, Clint Capella. Who's the Swish?
Who's the Swish?
Yes.
Nas Reed.
Nas Reed?
Nas
Yeah.
Reed.
I know that that's
Yeah.
the one that
Yeah.
everybody has been on. I know JB Smooth, you've already said Nas Reed is a guy for you.
Yeah, Nas
Look-
Reed is the guy for me.
Yeah, and but this is the thing though. When you're talking about the lack of height and the lack of size, do players like Nas Reed, Bobby Portis, and Clint Capella, who bring a lot of toughness, do they bring you that advantage from a size position standpoint as well? Obviously, what they were lacking at 7 foot, do they play bigger than their size in your opinion?
I mean, with Nas Reed, it's not even so much about playing bigger than his size. I just think he's very skilled. He can shoot the three. He was one of the players who you could look at as could have been in the 6 man of the year running with Minnesota. That's more what I look at. I don't look for somebody to play bigger than
Just
his size. I look
effectiveness overall?
for he's a very skilled 6'9" player who can play a little defense. Has got good size, not 7 foot size. That's more what I care about.
Yeah, and I am looking for somebody who can add to what they have rim protection wise, add to what they have from just, it was tough seeing Tobias Harris battling with the 4s and the 5s. Like, it was tough seeing even Osar Thompson and Pinches have to battle with the 4s and some of the 5s, and that's where sometimes when I think about the 7-footers, for as much as we love Beef Stew, that 6'9" sometimes does him wrong, despite how much effort he's putting.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I know how much we want these guys. That's why the first 2 questions for our free agency outlook was that. And I like the caveat that Rob put on there. Those other guys, they probably are looking to come here and say, hey, cute season, Jalen Duren, but we're still starter level. And so I do get that caveat. But, Willie B, I know you're already on this. Nas Reed, man. Is it Nas Reed or is it Clint Capella for you?
I want Nas Reed. If I want an offensive threat in the interior, a stretch forward that could shoot, and could post up, and he plays a little defense. Clint Capella it could be a brick on that one because Clint Capella don't have the offensive ability. He's just he's an older version of Jalen Duren. He's tough. He could play. He could play guard. Yeah, I said what I said. He's an older version of Jalen Duren. Yes, I said he can rebound, but offensive ability, he don't have much.
Wow.
So I take a Nas Reed over Clint Capella in the free agency, so he could have some offensive low. Then they take the low off of Jalen Duren. Clint Capella is like a older version of Jalen Duren, and I say what I say, Mr. Beard, respectfully.
Right? What say ye? I'm seeing some Nas love in the chat. I see Chuck
Go
Brewer,
to the
Rob
comments.
Fire.
Go to the chat.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
We gonna wait for him to roll in here, man. But I see him here. Swish from Nicholas Duncan. Let me see. Dante151. Nas Reed. That's what I've been seeing more consistently out of anything is people are ready for Nas Reed. But Adis411, he believes that Bobby Portis will be nice. And when I think about Bobby Portis, there is a lot of just nights where I remember in insignificant games, like, bro, you could have just let us win that, but no, you want to actually go out there and play all really, really tough and hard and physical and throwing our players around. From that perspective, sometimes I'm like, I would love to have just a little bit of an upgrade there. Because, again, when you think about Tobias Harris, I don't think that it was effective for him to have to battle with Karl Anthony Towns and carry a large offensive load. That, to me, I think you want to be able to reduce his defensive usage on those bigger forwards where it's going to drain what he can do on the offensive side, because you need Tobias Harris at your second highest paid player now, because Kay Cunningham's max contract's about to turn up. You need Tobias Harris to be a reliable scorer, a reliable ISO scorer, especially in those fourth quarters. That's where I do believe one of these players would be a big help for that. They can take some of that defensive usage on those bigger fours off of Tobias Harris.
Right, and part of the reason we're talking about this is because of Stu's injury and not being in the playoffs as much. That kind of put the glaring eye on that. If Stu's there, maybe this isn't as much of an issue. But to answer the question, I like Bobby Portis in this situation because he's a gamer. Every night he is out there playing like crazy. And Nas Reed absolutely is the swish in this. But I think a lot of teams are going to go after Nas Reed, and you're going to be in a bidding war, same sort of way. You've got to be economical with this and sort of budget your money the right way in order to bring back Malik Beasley and have a chance at one of these bigs. If you get both of those things done, I think you've had a successful offseason.
Hey, you know what? Just Football Academy Australia, thank you for being in the chat. He says, yes, Bobby is solid and probably well-priced to back up that point. I do agree with you guys. Nas Reed has been a player we've all talked about for probably a few years. But when you're talking about the maneuvering they're going to have to do with the cap, if they keep a draft pick, there's been some chatter on Hoops Hype, shout out to them, about the Pistons potentially trading back into the first round, to the low end of the first round, and grabbing a player that they really like. They're going to have to keep their cap space fluid, especially if you're talking about potential trades during the draft. So that is one where I do believe Bobby Portis brings you some toughness, and he brings you a lot of what you want from that defensive standpoint. And like you said, that gamer every night. And you got another vote for your Mo Wagner one.
Yep.
Justin from North Carolina says Mo Wagner with a question mark. But I got another question here as it relates to our free agency, because obviously we're looking at some of these free agent outlooks. We already discussed one of our vets that we want to re-sign. We talked about some of the needs that we have on that front line. Next week we're going to talk about some of the needs that we have with the guard rotation. We're going to focus more on Dennis Schroeder. But we also have a draft. The Pistons do have the 37th pick in the draft, and it's going to be interesting how this thing lays out, because they're being mocked to have their opportunity to pick several different players that we like during the college season. At one point in time, I thought one of these players was going to play himself out of that second round, but they're saying that as things are laying right now, the Pistons may have their choice at several of these players. Today, we'll focus on two. Who's the swish? Who's the brick? Draft prospect for the Detroit Pistons at pick number 37, Johni Broome, or Michigan's own Danny Wolf? That's a tough one. I see you, Flannel. You saw you.
Is it? This is not tough at all. The swish is absolutely Danny Wolf, and you know why? Because Danny Wolf is a more skilled player, and he has upside. The reason that Johni Broome was better in college is because it was his third year at Auburn and his fifth year as a starter. Danny Wolf is still learning some things. Obviously, he was a little bit too more turnover prone, but he's just so skilled. He can pass better than Johni Broome.
Willie B is over there losing it right now.
He can shoot the three a little bit of a plotter. Danny Wolf is fluid.
I'm sorry.
He is a more skilled player. He's got more upside. He does some things better, and he's more athletic. Johni Broome's a damn good college player that's going to, I think, do very little in the NBA, in my opinion. But I know it might sound slappy because I'm a Michigan fan, but I don't think it's slappy at all.
Let's go.
Put it on a Post-it note. Put it on a Post-it note. Let's go.
Yeah. Danny Wolf to the Pistons. That dude, Justin. Who's the swish? Who's the brick? Johni Broome or Danny Wolf?
I'm dead serious. He'll be playing for the Guangdong Tigers in 2 years. Like,
Jeez.
I'm dead serious. There's a reason why he had one of the lowest verticals in the combine, and he's an undersized center. He has he doesn't have the athleticism to play in the NBA.
So despite what he showed in March Madness,
doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. He's 24 playing against 18-years-olds. I literally couldn't care less. Danny Wolf is a 7-footer with skill who can shoot it from distance. He can dribble. He can block. He's a great defender. Like, he literally is. If you're taking a flyer on someone in the second round, this is the dream flyer. Like, I couldn't even think of a player that I would rather take at the 37th overall pick. Oh, yeah. And also, my boy Ryan is about to tap in as well.
Hey, shout out to intern Ryan. You guys remember he needs a nickname. What up, though, intern Ryan?
What up, though? But I'm with everyone here on Danny Wolf. John I. Broom, great college
Everybody
player.
but Willie. He's closed the door to the sound booth. He's only opened it to talk to Stick.
He says blood
But
pressure's
you guys
high.
talked about 7-footers and be able to handle the ball. And you could potentially get that without even going into free agency and getting Danny Wolf. I will say Wolf is probably one of the most frustrating basketball players I ever watched with turning the ball over. But Exactly. but you also got to think here this. Cade Cunningham is going to be the main ball handler on this team. And Danny Wolf at Michigan was one of the main ball handlers on this team. You take that away from him, kind of make him more of the second option. I think he's going to thrive. But the only issue I have with Danny Wolf is you could potentially see him in the first round, being taken in the first round. You may have to trade up and take that guy. John I. Broom is more of a second rounder compared to Danny Wolf. I see him more as a first rounder.
I'm sorry, and I agree. Janai Broom is 24, but he moves like he's 35, and he hasn't played a minute in the NBA yet. Damn good college player, but Danny Wolf, we're talking about upside. And I agree with you that Danny Wolf at times was frustrating to watch, but he was also scintillating to watch in a way that any Michigan player has been, in my opinion, since a guy like Mo Wagner. He's just got too much of a skill set. He's got so much upside. I think he'll go in the first round.
Rob picked the day to wear that Michigan shirt. I got to go to a residence party on the show. And just early on, Willie B, you do have some support, okay? Vincent E said, Brick, get him, Willie. So your turn is almost here.
Y'all ain't gonna run my blood pressure up. I don't want to hear that shit. I mean, y'all.
Hey, even Resident Sparty is gonna have our back here. I'll bet on it. Even Resident Sparty, he knows what's up with Janai Broom.
JB, don't let anybody sway you.
23 vertically. Wow. But when it comes to skill set, size.
Hold on.
Sorry,
Willie's ready to go off on this one, so I'll just make mine short and sweet. Look, Janai Broom is not a bum, everybody. He will have a decent NBA life, but it won't be that great. I'm going with Danny Wolf on this one. The simple fact of skill, and he can improve. I know he's a little bit turnover prone, but still, he can improve. If he gets better, I have my faith in Danny Wolf. I'm sorry.
Hey, Willie B, what up, though? And I see you, Chuck Brewer. He says, I see Wolf being mocked at 22-ish. This conversation is pointless.
It's fun, though.
It depends on how the NIL lays out. The way that Hoops Hype and their sources, credential sources that they do have, and their connection to all of the different publications, main publications for the teams, they do believe that the Detroit Pistons will have their opportunity to pick one of those players. Just depending on how the NIL affects how players choose to go back to college or stay in the draft. And based on that, they're saying that the Pistons should have their selection of several players that were popular either in their college tournament run or in the March Madness. I was going to put that in text, but I was like, let me just talk it just to make Willie B wait just a little long. He over there simmering.
Yeah,
what up, though, Willie B?
I'm upset.
Hey, it is your turn now. Hey, what's the Swish or Brick prospect? Janai Broom or Danny Wolf?
I'm like Danny Wolf. He need one more year, respectfully, because he's such a skilled player, and I like how he plays. Don't get me wrong. Ball handling 7-footer. Could shoot inside, but inconsistent with turnovers. He need one more year, just one more year for a junior year. But John Broom, his numbers, of course, his college basketball, NBA is different levels. But John Broom is 6'10", 240, strength, bull. So what? He don't have it vertically, but he's strong. He could score. He go inside out. And the guy, he's immovable when it comes to boxing out and getting in positioning.
So you see like some Corliss Williamson type vibes.
Of course,
Corliss
a
Williams.
little bit, but he's 6'3" inches taller, and he's more strong, and he's a lot more skill set. Zach Randolph type of player, because he can move. I mean, he can move, but what you go sit there is the experience level that he go bring to the table. That's all.
Hey, you know what? I understand your viewpoint a little bit more, but I don't know. Danny Wolf, man, we've been saying this all season. And what up, though, that dude, Justin? He's ready. Tap back in, bro.
I'm sorry. I just got to say one more thing about Janai Broom. We're talking about an undersized front court player who
6'10",
can't shoot threes,
is undersized now.
who relies on his physicality when he's not going to be the biggest guy on the floor in the NBA. That is a recipe for disaster. Like, this is when you're looking at a prospect, especially in the second round, a guy who a lot of the times isn't even making the rotation in their first year. Okay. You want to take a swing. I'm not taking a swing on a guy whose his ceiling is lower than Danny Wolf's floor. It doesn't even make sense.
I would probably trade up into the bottom of the first round to get him. I would take this year in 2007 second round picks, and I would trade up if he's sitting there at the bottom of that second round.
7-footer.
But Rod Beard, what say ye? The Swisher Brick prospect, Janai Broom, Danny Wolf. Great shirt, by the way. Go Blue.
No, I donate my time to let them hash this out a little bit more. I don't even have anything to say that's consequential in comparison. Let them talk. Let them go at it.
Shout out Rob,
Sure
man.
thing,
He
Rob.
said he actually loves the discourse that's going on right now. And you know what? Just to give some other Janai Broom, I do understand what you're talking about, the physicality. You're talking about what he could bring. But do we need more vertical? Do we need more of a reliable floor stretcher? And I'm seeing people in the chat actually who at first it was overwhelmingly Danny Wolf, but some people are now bringing up things like his turnovers. Can Danny Wolf really shoot? For me, I believe that at the NBA level, when you're talking about the development, the strength training, and things of that nature, I believe that's where you're going to see Danny Wolf really take that next step forward. When we talked about even the incremental steps that we saw Ron Holland take and Asar Thompson take, and even Cade Cunningham this year, even Jaden Ivey. What was one of my first reports out of training camp when we were able to go in? These guys been in the weight room. And what did we see? Jaden Ivey getting to the rim better. Ron Holland was able to shoot the three a little bit better than people thought he could. He showed a little bit more of that chop. And we understood then, especially with their work with Fred Vincent, that there is something there to these players who come in very, very skilled. If you have the right environment around them, you have an opportunity to push that potential even higher. And that's where, when you're talking about which one has a higher potential, I do believe that is Danny Wolf, because he is so versatile and so skilled, bro. But I didn't want to just trash on Janai Broom today. I feel you, brother.
I mean, it's understandable. It's, Danny Wolf's skill set is tremendous. John Broom has just got the experience and the size for it. And hey, they both got size for it, but it's the IQ level for both players. And John has got a little edge of it.
That's saying though, but Chili Damon, he says Broom is better than Paul Reed. And you know what's interesting about the exercise is there's been
that's true.
We have
Who
said that? Who said that's true? Is that JV? They said that Janai Broom would be better than Paul Reed right now.
That's me and Willie. I agree with that.
False.
The move is Rod is beside himself.
False. No, they might be the same age. Because Janai Broom is 37, but he is not better than Paul Reed. Let's not do that.
Wow, he's 24.
That's what we talk about this. So because I realize, even though they don't have a first round pick, they have everything they need to get back into the first round. But they're also going to have an opportunity if a player falls or not to be able to select somebody at a position of need with high potential. And we know at this organization right now, when you're picking in the second round, it is about the potential. And I do believe in what this organization has from a development standpoint. If you take a swing on a player like a Danny Wolf, man, definitely.
Hey, you know how I feel about it. We got any more questions?
No, that was the last one.
Oh,
we got through free agent.
Nice.
We got through the draft picks. We got through our free agents to be as well. And so far, the way it's shaping up, people want Malik Beasley, Naz Reid, and Danny Wolf.
Doesn't sound so bad. Although, for the record, it was a tough decision between Naz Reid and Bobby Portis. I like Bobby Portis a lot as well. But Willie, one quick thing.
As a crew, let's set it in stone, because I'm going to have Justin make our Volume 1.0 graphic. Is it Naz Reid or is it Bobby Portis?
I'm willing to concede Portis
Portis.
if we want to make that like our like crew.
We'll do that. We'll do that one. I like that because Rod also went with Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
You did. You guys heard what I said about Bobby Portis. Like, he's just one of those guys who I have bad memories about him because he punches the Pistons in the face every time. But it's not just us. That's just the way he plays every single night.
Him and B. Stu.
But Rod Beard, any last words, man? Free off season, our Pistons off season outlook. We got some of these things filled in as it relates to which vet we're gonna bring in. Do you want to keep Malik here? We all said yep. We've all Stick says no. Bobby Portis. We all said yes. We can do it without even tapping into the cap space. It just depends. If they throw that bag though at 19 or 20, we say we might tap out. Who? Malik Beasley? Yeah. When who? Oh, when Ivy comes back? Oh, I love this.
I don't have a mic. We'll talk.
We're gonna talk about it. But Rod Beard, any last words from you?
No, I think they are heading in the right direction, and the way that they handle cap space in the offseason and everything else is going to be critical for what they can do next year, obviously. So, hey, we're not talking about a first-round pick. Maybe trade into the first round, but everybody got to take the draft lottery off, and now we're talking about how we can improve draft position. That's light years away from where we were last year or even 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, so Rod, I did want to ask you, what are you doing in your time now? With you don't have to do those real GM spins anymore, those tankathon spins. What are you doing with yourself?
I was just telling somebody about that yesterday. Like, there's no tankathon spins. It's like you can look at the cap space and you can watch the playoffs and be like, oh well, yeah, we had a shot here. We just didn't. Like, if the Pistons beat the Knicks, would they have had a chance to get against the Celtics? You don't know, but you can see a pathway where they can be a legitimate playoff team. And some of these windows are going to start closing on some of these other teams. That can Boston keep the band together there? Milwaukee, we know, is going to start trying to disassemble what they're doing. If Giannis goes to the West, the Pistons could be a top 3, top 4 team in the East. And that's, again, from where we were last year, that is ridiculous to even say out loud.
That is ridiculous to say out loud, but we didn't know the type of player Cade Cunningham to be. It was going to be possible. And now we're seeing when they call him a connector and the leader and he can uplift his team. He did something that, only a couple, these special players in the league can do. Lift the squad to a surefire playoff spot without really any all-star team at help. Now it's about what you do from this point. But thank you, Rod Beard, for giving us your time. He is a senior sports editor at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thank you so much, man. Still repping Detroit and Michigan proud. We appreciate you, brother.
Always, brother. We'll talk. Right. Have a good show.
Yes, sir. Thanks, have a good day. Have a good day. Let's say what up to some friends and make sure people can get a little bit of that what's trending today, JB Smooth.
For sure. Let me tell them about jars.